Shalom Israel. Bienvenidos a hoy emisión. Muchas gracias. I want to welcome you again today to another podcast, and I thank you for joining me. So that was just a little, Spanish, sentence that I used to welcome each and every one of you as a way to, in an interesting sort of way, showcase some of the multilingual competencies that I have. I just don't speak English and the Igbo language. I have other, language cognitions. That I can leverage just to demonstrate that I'm not a one-dimensional or single-dimensional individual, but I do have broad, views of, the world. So from time to time, I'm gonna be showcasing, my, foreign language, competencies as I bring to you more videos in the future. But today, what I'm going to talk about is the way we as Igbo Jews will now begin to take our Jewish roots to the next level. Because obviously there is no going back. We're now stepping into the shoes, albeit very large, shoes of our forefathers. We need to now begin to conceptualize some of the, rituals, rites, routines that, must mediate Jewish life. The list of which is not, we're going to, one of which is the idea of having our own, rabbinical council. Right now, I may not want to define it as a rabbinical council because we don't have a lot of trained rabbis. That's going to change in future with the level of enthusiasm and the level of interest. A lot of our people have demonstrated in reconnecting with their Hebrew, Israelite, Jewish roots. I think sooner than later we're gonna, have our own yeshivas. Yeshivas are just, colleges or schools where rabbis are trained. So in the meantime, we need to have a central clearinghouse of Jewish elders, Igbo Jewish elders, which is like a rabbinical council you find in Israel. They have it in North America, which they call a Rabbinical Council of North America. They have it in Poland. They have it in Russia, in different places. We cannot look onto any other geographical locale to make rules for us regarding how we must practice Judaism, because no one has a copyright to what is right and righteous. We must begin now to think ahead about how we can have a central authority that will regulate all Jewish affairs in Nigeria. Professor Remy and I, being the foremost authorities in the Igbo Jewish reconnection and interest, we will be producing or presenting in the near future, policy trust about how our people will now come together to have elders, Jewish elders. We're just going to call them, Igbo Jewish elders. We're not going to call them Rabbinical Council because they're not rabbis. But we're going to begin to train our own rabbis. We're going to establish our own, yeshiva, school for training of rabbis. And we're going to be making laws, we're going to be making our own edicts and ordinances regarding personal status issues like marriage, in Judaism, divorce, child custody, alimony, and stuff like that, that will guide us. The imperatives have changed. We are not going to conduct our civil affairs like the Christians do. Things are going to be quite different. Because we're moving away from Christianity, therefore, we're not going to be bound by those Christian, liturgy, by Christian liturgy, by, Christian ideals, by Christian doctrines and dogma. We're going to have our own ethics. We're going to have our own ethos. We're going to have our own, edicts that will guide our lives as Jews, because Judaism and Christianity are, you know, not mutually supportive. They are very, very, divorced from one another, even though, Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism. So we're going to start thinking ahead, because, I mean, it feels good. Every Friday I get a lot of messages in my inbox, Shabbat Shalom, wishing you a good Shabbat. That's very good. But we need to start, thinking about how we can truly practice Orthodox Judaism. We need to have our own rules, regulations. We can borrow from different rabbinical authorities in Israel, from Poland, United States, elsewhere, but we must have to craft these rules to fit our own, particular circumstances in Nigeria. This is a very important video that everybody needs to watch from the beginning to the end, and it is going to address ways in which we can extend our Jewish, obligations as Igbo Jews. And I'm also going to talk about the way in which, people who are not Igbos are being allowed to come into our synagogues. And, I've heard that some of them create a lot of problems when they leave. And this is why we must have this central authority, so that we can also think about the process of conversion, as well as mikvah. Mikvah is the ritual bath in which we use for conversion, and for women who just ended their menstrual cycle. They need to go into that mikvah and take a bath. We gotta, articulate policies to guide those aspects of Jewish life, like the mikvah, conversion. We will do our own conversion. Nobody's gonna come from anywhere else to convert people, because one of the ways to become a Jew is either by birth or through conversion. We're going to be bringing people who are not Igbos into Judaism, but they got to go through a process of conversion. That's why we need to have this regulatory central authority of elders of, I'm tempted to call them elders of Zion, but it's just Jewish elders, Igbo Jewish elders. Until such a time when we begin to train our own people as rabbis, then we can change the nomenclature from Jewish elders to Rabbinical Council. So we're going to have an elder council of Jews who would be picked from the core Igbo. This is just a suggestion. It could change. And I'm going to be having another conference with Professor Remy Lona. Both of us right now seem to be the ones spearheading. That's a difficult word to pronounce anyway. We're the ones that seem to be articulating many of the very important, views regarding how Igbos would, have a sustainable Jewish life as we, welcome many of our, brothers and sisters. I am the co-convener of the Igbo Jewish Forum, and a lot of people are showing interest from Ghana, Uganda, the United States, France, different places. They just want to identify with us. But in Igbo land, we need to begin to think about how we can have a central authority, so that if there's a conversion, before a conversion takes place, for example, to give a concrete example, before a Yoruba person can be converted or be allowed to attend religious services in our synagogues, they have to go through conversion. And it is that central authority that must approve the conversion. We're not going to have a hodgepodge of conversions. The synagogue in Okota, Lagos, one in Surulere, one in Ikeja, one. They're just having different, styles of conversion. There has to be a blueprint, which must be approved by that central authority, drawn from, core Igbos, from Anambra State, from Abia State, from Imo State, from Enugu State, from Ebonyi State, from some parts of Delta State, especially near the, Onisha Bridge, from some parts of River State, and so on. We've got to draw them as a rabbinical council. That's not what they're going to be called, because they're not rabbis. As elders, council that will make policies that will, and it's gonna be a formal process. They're gonna have an office. They're gonna draw salaries. People from different synagogues. As the synagogues grow, they're gonna contribute to keep that council afloat. Down the road, it may not be immediately. It's gonna just be a labor of love. Where the elders of the council will just devote their time to help, propagate and champion the interest and the well-being of Igbo Jews in different synagogues. And then we're going to start thinking about conversion, because we will do conversion. We're not going to wait for anybody from somewhere in a very remote place to come and convert our people. No, we're in it already. There's no going back. So if we're going to be Jews, then we're going to act like the church. But we're not going to act like the Roman Catholic Church that is, that is talking down on different dioceses from Rome. We're going to have our own independent central authority in Nigeria. Nobody's going to tell us what to do, how we're going to conduct our affairs. Can we learn from mainstream Jews? Absolutely. But the ultimate decision-making process will be rested in this Elders' Council right now. Because Professor Remy and I have had extensive, sustained conversation regarding about the way forward. Right now, what we're just seeing is hodgepodge, just different pockets of synagogues with their own rules, with their own regulations, with their own ethos. But we want to have a central clearinghouse that can have some kind of confluence and convergence of these ideals and ideas from these different synagogues. So that's a very, very important point. And then that council, their decision is final. So that if somebody is being converted in Abuja synagogue, the council will know about it, and they're going to keep a record of those who have been converted. If you're not an Igbo person, you must be converted. Even though you are attending synagogue, now you're from Yoruba or Benin or Yoruba or Hausa, you're attending some of the synagogues. You are just attending it. You are not a Jew until you go through a formal conversion. And our people will be, heading that process. They will be at the front and center of that conversion process. And then women also must, submerge themselves into mikvah after their monthly cycle. Our women who are attending synagogues, who are attending Shabbat services and other, sacred services, must have to, immerse themselves into the mikvah. That is the ritual bath, which will be established by different synagogues as they begin to grow in strength and in financial muscle. So these are the things we must have to begin to think ahead of, because if we're going to be Jews, we must have to have precepts. We must have to have orderly rules, regulations, ethics, ethos that will guide our attitude, behaviors, and mindset. So this is a very important, point that, Hashem just kind of downloaded into my spirit. And I said I was going to, share it with you people. And then we need to also, and this central authority, of elders of, Igbo Jews will be registered in the Corporate Affairs Commission, because it's not going to be like an underground, above ground entity. It's going to be registered, and we're going to give them authority to conduct conversions. And they have to, every time there's a conversion in Abuja synagogue, in Oka synagogue, in Abia State synagogue, in Enugu synagogue, in Ebonyi State synagogue, in a synagogue in Port Harcourt, they have to have a representative to oversee this conversion. And they have to have a record of those who have been converted, because we have to have a central, clearinghouse. Say for example, our people want to travel to Israel on pilgrimage. You have to have a list of Jews who will travel. It's not just everybody that's going to get on the plane to go to Israel on a Jewish, excursion or pilgrimage. I mean, Christians can go to Israel, but if we're going as Jews, we gotta be Jews. Can you now see how the whole world is watching us to see if we can get things right on our own? If we get it right based on international Jewish norms, if based on standardized ways of conversion, of performing mikvah, of presenting, of deconstructing the Torah, that's going to pick and attract the interest of mainstream Jews. That's okay. These people, they might say, okay, these people have made effort. They are making good faith effort to be authentic, genuine Jews. Not that we are not, because we are still trying to rediscover ourselves. We're still attempting to rediscover the religion of our forefathers. We've been separated for thousands of years from this religion. We're still learning a lot, but we need to be organized. And that's where the issue of validation and affirmation comes. We gotta validate ourselves. We gotta prove to the world that we can be able to regulate ourselves. We can be able to, promote our own interests. We can be able to have a well-organized structure in a way that we can practice Judaism. So I'm just trying to fly the kite or float the kite right now, so that people can begin to give us our ideas. But Professor Remy and I will continue to be very, very relevant in this conversation. We're going to be presenting policy trust about in ways that our people in different locations can foster this central structure, just like the church. The church has central structure. If you look at the Anglican Church from where I was baptized, they have their archdeaconry, they have their diocese, they have some kind of central structure. Like in Aba, there's an archdeaconry, or archdiocese there, and they have to. They have to send policies to the local, diocese, to the local churches, and so that if you go to several Anglican churches in the morning, they're presenting the same liturgy. They are reading the same. They may read the same. They may not read the same scriptures, but the liturgy, the order of service is the same. Similarly, in Judaism too, especially the Orthodox bent to which our people have subscribed to, because initially I thought our people were like non-Orthodox. They were just like, Reformed. They have their own different, mode and methodology of worship. But somebody has corrected me about that. Our people are Orthodox, and that's good. So we need to have a central structure. We're not going to have just different ways of doing things. That's going to shift our credibility as we try to stamp our authority in the religion of our forefathers. So that's very, very important. And now let me go back to the issue of people who are not Igbos coming into our synagogues. In the meantime, continue to receive them so that they can get their blessing. But you gotta let them understand down the road they're gonna go through a conversion. If they want to have their names in that book of remembrance, they have to go through a conversion. And when we have our house in order, when we have a structure, in which we can have elders that will help us craft some of the structures that's gonna that will help us become practicing Orthodox Jews. Then people are going to go through conversion. They're going to go through other rituals, other routines, other rites of Judaism. So we're going to have a paradigm shift right now regarding Judaism. You cannot admit everybody. People have to people have to earn it. Even in Israel, I remember a story where a certain rabbi went to Peru and converted 90 Peruvians. And the Peruvians, in their own self-reporting, said their forefathers were not Jews, that they have never practiced Judaism. They have only practiced, they were members of the Catholic faith. But perhaps they have blue eyes, blonde hair, and light skin, light skin. And they were automatically converted. We will do our own conversion. But people have to, go through conversion class. They have to, show their loyalty and strong interest in Judaism. It's not one leg in the church, one leg in the synagogue. So it's important because it's manifestly clear that we are not going back. We are, we have returned to the ancient, tradition omenala of our forefathers. So, so I wanted to make that point very clear. Because being Jewish, fascinates the collective consciousness of Igbos. Just look at the sheer number of people, hitting me up. They want to become members of our fast-growing Igbo Jewish forum, even Anglo-Saxon. One of my very good friends, Miss Dina, just posted some breathtaking, fascinating photographs of her different trips to Israel. Just to support us. She likes what we're doing. She likes that we are the people of the book. She knows that we are the seeds of Israel, the seeds of Abraham. That's why she's, sticking with us. The same thing with Alan Rubin. The same thing with a lot of people. And I'm going to be bringing a lot of Anglo-Saxon friends who have showed interest, but I'm still checking them out. I don't want them to come and create problems. I'm checking them out. They are Jews, and they want to be there to support us. So we're going to, not that anybody's support is going to change anything, whether we get support or not. We're in. We are filling the shoes of our forefathers. So it's very important that we need to start thinking ahead, and then this is gonna this is gonna be rewarding in the future. Because I have read accounts of where people who try to reclaim their Jewish roots were kind of met brick walls. There was a pushback, but they stood in the authority. They did not defer to nor capitulate from their vision. And eventually, the Israeli government, had to embrace them, especially the Hebrew Israelites, the African Americans that live in the Dimona area, where they have the nuclear reactor of Israel. It took them time to be accepted, but they stood in the authority. That's how Judaism works. You gotta prove yourself. You gotta show interest. You gotta be, you gotta persevere. You gotta have persistence. You gotta have perseverance for people to say, maybe these people, we need to take a second look at these people. They are resilient. They are still standing there, even when it seems that they have been rejected. Similarly, the good rabbi of the Chicago, the popular African-American Chicago synagogue called B'nai Zakem Ethiopian Hebrew Synagogue in Chicago, Illinois. I remember, when he was, nobody was even considering him. People dismissed him as just a joker. He wasn't Jewish at all. He couldn't prove his Jewishness, but he stood in his authority, and over the years. He's one of the go-to individuals right now where Anglo-Saxons go to his synagogue to preach, to embrace, to provide resources. So that is, one element of Judaism that, that's important for us to understand. Not that we're waiting for anybody's validation, but still, you cannot, the world is an interconnected space. You cannot operate in isolation. There still has to be some mutual interdependence where, we share ideas and resources. Now that we're waiting for anybody to validate us, don't get me wrong, we're not looking for validation, we're not looking for affirmation, but we're looking for some cooperation at an equal keel. We need to be partners. We're not going to be subservient. We're not going to be subjugated. We're not going to be playing a second fiddle. We want to be at equal keel with whoever wants to embrace us. We have opened our arms as Igbo Jews, and we have come here to stay. So I want to be encouraging you because King David, when even people that he went to war attempted to stone him, they say David, the king encouraged himself. So I'm here to encourage you, to stay with me, stay with Professor Remy Lona and I, because we seem to be the driving forces for keeping the flame of Igbo Jewish roots alive. And we're not gonna fail you people. We're gonna continue to do whatever we can to make sure that we create that visibility, we create that presence, that commanding presence in the world stage, that Igbos are the Jews of Africa. We are the Jews of Africa. There was a time they defined us as Jews of West Africa. No, the train already left the station. We've gone past that. There are no other strong Jewish structure in Africa other than the Igbos. That's what we are. We are stronger than the Ethiopian Jews. We are stronger than other pockets of Anglo-Saxon Jews that live in some parts of Africa. Igbos, we number in the millions. And the rate with which our people are leaving churches in droves and going into synagogues, it is estimated that Igbos are between 50 and 70 million. Very soon now, almost 50 million Igbos will leave the church. So the church needs to begin to recalibrate their structure, because all that tithe you've been collecting from Igbos will dissipate, because they're going to be paying that money. We don't call it tithe. They're going to be paying that money to the synagogues to sustain their own very religion, which is Judaism. So this is just a note of warning to the churches to begin to think ahead, because they're going to lose a lot of members for the synagogues. So it's very, very important for us to be resolute, for us to stand in our authority, and keep in mind that we need to start also digging into our pockets, to sustain our synagogues, sustain our leaders in the synagogue. Because somebody like Brother Chidi Aralu, he's an engineer, but I can see his enthusiasm. He has used his own resources to build a synagogue. And now if he's going to run that synagogue, that means he's going to leave his engineering profession just to dedicate his life as a Levite, as a Cohen, as a member of the Levitical class, to just serve you in the synagogue. What is he going to eat? How is he going to take his family? You will be the one to support him. You will be the one to, pay your annual dues, pay the tzedakah, pay into the tzedakah box and other forms of support for the synagogue. So a time will come when people, synagogue elders and leaders will not just be doing it pro bono. They're going to be paid. They have to be paid. They have to be giving a salary. You have to buy a car for them. You have to rent an apartment or build a house for them. Just like you have done for the pastors in the churches. You put them in a special Gulfstream airplanes. You put them in flashy limousines, in Rolls Royces. You're going to do that to your Jewish rabbis in Nigeria, so your Jewish elders, to your cantors, to your worship leaders, because they deserve it, because they are the members of the Levitical class. I am a Levite. My preoccupation, my assignment is not even to seek the material things of this world. I'm not supposed to own land. I'm not supposed to engage in any trade or in any entrepreneurial activity. I'm just there to dedicate my life to dedicate my life to the service of the people in the synagogue. So somebody's trying to come in. So I'm gonna continue to make videos to encourage you people to be resolute, to be resolute. Sometimes these words are difficult to pronounce. Resolute. There's a Z there, but it's important for us to start thinking ahead in a way that will support our synagogue. And we don't want any argument. We don't want any fighting. We want to go into the synagogue and have a good time, worship our God, support your synagogue leaders, support your cantors, support your rabbis, support your, they are not pastors, they are elders of the synagogue. You got to support them with your finances, because they have to keep the doors of the synagogue open. They have to pay for electricity. They have to pay the rent. They have to pay for water. They have to pay for security. They have to pay all manners of, kind of costs in order to keep synagogue open. And they have to transport themselves. They have to feed their families. So you got to support your synagogue. You got to support the elders of your synagogue. And then it's important also for us to be resolute. Do not ever talk about affirmation or validation or recognition from anybody, because it's not going to come. You must have to recognize yourself. Professor Remy Lona and I, Dr. Austin B. Tiba, have recognized you. You got our support. You have our recognition. We need to lift ourselves up as Jews. And I will be remiss, if I don't tell you that I'll be very sad if I see some of you going back to the church or acting like the church at Laodicea, the Laodicean church, which Apostle John referred to as neither hot nor cold, just lukewarm. You want to identify what your goals are, what your objectives are. Are you going to be in the church or are you going to be in the synagogue? You got to make up your mind. You can't be going back and forth. I have a brother of mine who is a pastor in the church. He is a member of Igbo Jewish forum. But I'm asking him, where do you want to be? Because you can't have it both ways. So it's important for us to make up in our mind what it is that we want to do. If we want to be, it's important. It's even better that you turn around and identify with Judaism right now, because a point will come when it might be difficult, for you to find a space. From what I'm seeing right now, in the next couple of years, many Igbos, even the elders, even the papas and mamas, are going to start attending Shabbat services. That's where they're going to be pouring their resources. And you're going to see how God is going to lift you up. God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Elohim, the Adonai, the Hashem, will lift you up, just like he has lifted mainstream Jews up. He has lifted them up in a very special way, in an extraordinary way. So that's the secret of their success, because they serve a different God from the ones others serve. So it's important for us to, keep this information, in our memory. And then again, we have to also. Somebody, kids are playing soccer and they're hitting my door. But we have to, so start thinking about how we can, build more synagogues. I know it's not easy, but some people are doing it with their resources. But keep in mind, if I have to go and build a synagogue or open a synagogue, and then people come in to worship there, you're not going to expect me to be the one to pay for the electricity, be the one to pay for water, be the one to feed myself, be the one to transport myself, be the one. People coming into that synagogue to receive their blessing will have to take some of the cost. Just like you have done for your pastors. You must do that for your rabbis, for your elders, for your Levites, for your Cohen. Okay? You have to do that. That's the only way you can support your local synagogue. So it's important that, in the next coming months or years, we're going to start, coalescing and consolidating synagogues under one structure. Not that they won't have their own ethos and ideals and the way they worship, but we have to have certain commonalities in areas of personal status issues, like marriage, like divorce, like alimony, child support, mikvah, conversion. Conversion is very important. And can I tell you that many non-Igbos are watching what is happening. They like the idea. They are fascinated with Judaism, and they want to be part of it. But they just can't walk into synagogue and become Jews. No, there has to be a conversion process. If you're not an Igbo, be ready for conversion. Otherwise, you're going to return to your church. The church is for the Yorubas, but the synagogue is for Igbos, Igbo Jews. But if you want to become a Jew, you're going to go through a rigorous conversion process. And we're going to make this happen. Those of them who are not Igbos, who are in the synagogue right now, just keep going to worship. But you got to be supporting the synagogue with your resources. Then at the appropriate time, we're going to put you through a rigorous conversion process if you still want to be identified as a Jew. Otherwise, you're just there wasting your time. Because I'm going to tell you that right now. I am saying to you that a time will come for those who are non-Igbos, who are already in the synagogues. to be prepared to go through a conversion process where we can now regularize their Jewishness through conversion. Thank goodness that there is something like conversion, which the rabbis and members of the Rabbinical Council in Israel are leveraging. I already gave you an account of how 90 Peruvian Jews, they were not Jews by ancestry, by heritage, by background, nothing at all, but they were converted to Jews. Similarly, we as Igbo Jews will do that. We will leverage on our roots as Jews to convert whoever we want to convert as Jews. And the conversion is not going to be for the purposes of Aliyah. Aliyah means immigration to Israel. We are converting them so that they can receive the blessings of Adonai Elohim within within the personal space within Nigeria. If they want to make Aliyah, that's up to them. But we are converting them just so that they can identify with fellow Jews. We will do that. So if you're going to be watching this video, keep in mind that we're going to be having some radical changes in our Jewish culture. Right now, it's unregulated. Right now, there's no central authority, and it's good. There's nothing wrong with that, because we're rediscovering ourselves. We're returning to our Jewish roots. But at a point, we're going to have a central structure. It's going to be a flexible central structure. It's not one that is going to be draconian, but it's going to be one that is going to be, putting out policies, be advising. It's going to be advisory. But we need to maintain a central registry of who is a Jew and who is not, who has been converted. If you're not Igbo, automatically, of course, all Igbos are Jews. Even those in the church, they are Jews. It's just that they have not discover themselves. Once they discover themselves, they're going to return to their roots. So I'm going to just end this video today because quiero casa, quiero esta la casa. That means it's time to go home in Spanish. Quiero de la esta casa, it's time to go home. But I thank you for watching another podcast. And before you go, please try to subscribe, by clicking that rectangular red box on the bottom of your, your device. Whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone or a laptop or a desktop, you're going to find it there. Click on it so that every time I make a video, you'll be one of the first to receive my video. I'm going to be making more videos. I couldn't make videos a lot last time because I was recuperating from a hospital visit. But I really love you guys. A lot of people have been sending me notices about their interest to join an Igbo Jewish Forum, and 35 people were just received today. I'm going to send out a warm welcome, address to them, embracing them as our brothers and sisters. And I want you guys to, keep coming into our forum. You don't know what this forum is going to be in the near future. It's going to be a clearinghouse where we're going to provide enormous resources for our people as they make their foray or as they return to Judaism. Once again, I want to thank you. This is your high priest bringing you word as usual. Thank you very much. Adios.